Hi, I'm Pastor David with Declaration Church, and today I want to share with you a little bit about something that's key to relationships. Growing up, there were a lot of things in my life that I wish I had learned a little earlier in my life. I know a lot of things that have happened in my life with other people and relationships that I've had, some that are still intact and healthy today, and others that have fallen by the wayside, have become issues, there were issues that were created in those relationships because of a lack of understanding in what makes a healthy relationship and how to keep a relationship healthy. I know that there are a lot of things that we try to avoid in order to keep relationships healthy. One of those things that we try to avoid because we're afraid that if we don't avoid it, it's going to cause issues in the relationship and the relationship will just fall apart is confrontation. So many of us are afraid of confrontation or don't like confrontation to the point that we actually will avoid it completely in all of our relationships just so that we can feel comfortable. And we're afraid a lot of times, I think, that if we confront someone when they have hurt us, when they have caused us a problem, when they have done something that they shouldn't have done, if we confront them, then what we have is a situation where the relationship may completely fall apart. And so what we end up doing is one of two things. Either we pretend that everything is okay and we harbor that hurt and that pain, and it begins to cause other problems under the surface to the point that bitterness begins to grow inside of us, and then that destroys the relationship. Or we go and instead of telling the person that hurt us about the situation and letting them know, hey, I've been hurt, I've been struggling here because of something you said, we start telling other people. And so that other person is completely unaware of the fact that we've been offended, that we've been hurt, that we've received some kind of pain in our relationship, that there's an issue, until someone in some concentric circle of that information going from us to the next person, from them to the next people after that. And we call that gossip. And so either we react to these hurts with gossip, or we tend to react to these hurts by simply burying that. And what we need to do instead is what Jesus teaches us in Matthew chapter 18. Starting in verse 15, and it's really the only verse I'm going to read, but you want to go ahead and read through there so you can see the progression. Jesus says this: if your brother or sister sins against you, go and tell him or her their fault, between you and him or her alone. If he or she listens to you, you have gained your brother. So what Jesus tells us to do, and the ESV actually reads this: if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault, between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you've gained your brother. What Jesus is saying is we actually need to confront directly the person who's hurt us. And that's not an easy thing to do because most of us are at least a little uncomfortable with confrontation, if not a lot uncomfortable with confrontation. But what Jesus wants us to do is go directly to the source of that hurt. Go directly to the source of the offense and say, hey, I don't know if you know this, but remember when you said this, or remember when you did this, remember when this happened. This is how I felt, and this has really been bothering me. This hurt me. We need to go to the brother or our sister, to our friend, to the people in our lives, and say, this really hurt me. We need to go to the person who hurts us and let them know. What I've found in my own life is that a lot of times if I do that, that individual has no idea the pain that was caused. It was never an intentional thing. It's not what they meant. I completely misinterpreted what was going on, and I was hurt through that situation. But it was never the intention of the other party. And so at that point, the relationship is completely restored. Everything is renewed, and trust can start to build again, and healing takes place. Where with the other two, completely burying it and bitterness beginning to grow can destroy the relationship because mistrust begins to grow and flourish in that situation. And we lose relationships because there is no trust. Or trust is completely lost because we share it with other people and not with the person who hurt us. And so when they find out, damage is done because they're like, well, what else are they telling people? I can't trust them. And then you don't trust the other person because they hurt you. So that relationship, again, ends up worse off or completely destroyed. That's not the way that God wants us to live. If God designed us to live in relationship with one another, He has a great idea for keeping those relationships and keeping them healthy. So I hope this helps. If you're having issues with relationships right now, if somebody's hurt you and you haven't gone and talked to them directly, I encourage you to do that. If you'd like to learn more, continue to watch these videos, subscribe to our channel. And if this video has been helpful to you, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, give it a like, so that we can see that these are having a positive effect. As always, I'm Pastor David, and I'm out.